They signed a running back, Wayne Gallman. I mean, I'm not going to say, like, do you like the signing or not? Because we don't even know what they're paying him yet. But just, like, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, for me, this feels like a replacement for Tevin Coleman. And me being here in Jersey, I've seen a lot of Wayne Gallman, and particularly playing fantasy football as well. And I know that doesn't mean anything, but when Saquon Barkley went down, Wayne Gallman was solid. And if anybody remembers against Seattle last year, 16 carries, 135 yards. What I really saw from him is that a guy was very solid, very much involved in the pass game here and there, just a better Tevin Coleman, basically. So I see him making this roster. I really do. It doesn't take the 49ers away from drafting a running back, which is what I think they still will do. But Wayne Gallman is very solid. I was very happy with the move. Another thing that I took, there was about a 5 or 6 game stretch from last year where yards after contact are through the roof, and that would have been the highest on the team. He's a tough back. He's very solid. He's just understated, and he just sat behind Saquon Barkley. He's a solid move, and if he replaces Tevin Coleman and he becomes a part of this rotation, having a rotation of Mostert, Wilson, and Gallman, and let's say they draft somebody, that's a very, very, very solid backfield and will lend itself more to the rotation that Kyle Shanahan wants to run.
Yeah, he's 215 pounds, which would make him the biggest of the rotation. And, I saw him once last year when the Niners played the Giants, and he wasn't super impressive, but again, it was like going against a good defense. Plus, Jason Garrett was the play caller. I remember thinking, like, man, Jason, you have adjusted your play calling 0% since you left the Cowboys. I remember Vish said it at the time, like, you're calling plays like your running back is Ezekiel Elliott. What are you doing? You can't just call a dive into the middle of the line on 1st and 10 every play. So I think Kyle could look at him and be like, well, he runs hard. He's fast. He was in a ridiculous system with a ridiculous play caller last year. Put him in my system, get him outside the tackles. He might be pretty good. I mean, he did average 4.6 yards per carry last year. So
the other thing is, too, is if I remember correctly in that game, I think he rushed for like 7 yards on 5 rushes. But that was Javon Kinlaw eating up space. And again, they were out of their game plan because they got down, in that game. Remember, that was right after all the stuff happened with Bosa, Garoppolo all in the same game. And then they went out there and they whipped the Giants. So, game script had a lot to do with why Wayne Gallman wasn't, in there and all those other things that you alluded to.
Right. Like when they signed him, I was surprised because I didn't know his box score from last season. I was just like, they kind of shut him down. I'm surprised they were impressed. But then you go back and look at his box score. It is impressive. It is. And then I didn't know that he played that well against Seattle. All you got to do is turn on that one tape and be like, oh, yeah, okay. So we both think he's going to make the team. He'll be in the rotation. Does this final question on what this means? Do you think this means they're not going to draft a running back?
I don't think that. It's good to have as many bodies as possible. Remember, the 49ers are missing Jerick McKinnon and Tevin Coleman, who were part of their rotation last year.
Good point.
So doesn't necessarily mean that they're out on a running back. I would actually still expect them in this draft to address it and draft a running back.
Someone more with Jerick McKinnon's skill set.
Maybe. I mean, that's a Michael Carter. If you off the top of my head, you feel it. I love that, but I don't know. Again, the guy I want is Javonte at 43, but I don't know, what's going to happen. I could see a scenario where they trade back and recoup picks and still get a running back. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. But my prediction is that they're probably still going to address the running back position in the draft somehow. You
really love a draft prospect when you just call him by his first name.
Javonte. So whenever I post his film clips, I just put Javonte in big letters. Like that's it. Javonte.
Speaks for itself.